All right, guys, so a quick little breakdown on LakeMaster and kind of how I describe Green Bay as a whole. Here we're looking at the majority of the bay. We've got Lake Michigan proper over here, Door County Peninsula, and then where Green Bay comes into the state of Wisconsin here. And if you look at the map with our shaded relief here, you can actually see how shallow our west shore is. We've got a lot of that red and a lot more shallower flats out offshore. Now, this is where the majority of our spawning is going to take place in the spring for walleyes. We have a lot of our tributaries. We've got the Fox River down here, Swamico River, Oconto River, Peshtigo River, and the Menominee River. And this is basically just a big delta on the west side of Green Bay. It's low land, a lot of cattails, marshy, a lot of inflow coming in from this side of the lake. This is where everything's going to kind of start in that end of March, early April, mid-April time frame. A lot of these fish will actually migrate from the east shore over to the west shore to spawn, and then come back as a migration back to the east shore here. So it's kind of interesting if you look and see, if we zoom in on our Oconto section, you can see this big river delta here from the Peshtigo River. We've got a big inflow here from the Oconto, and how large these flats are. If we look at our scale, this would be half of a mile. So here we're probably talking about 4 to 6 miles of water that's less than 10 feet. All right, I've got a bunch of waypoints in here showing all these different mussel beds and rocks and all kinds of different stuff on this whole shore. Now these fish are going to move up and down. You can see here's another little creek inflow here. We've got another creek that comes in here. Creek. There's just all kinds of flow that come into Green Bay on that west shore. It's very shallow. You can see a bunch of these waypoints scattered throughout. We've got these veins of mussel beds and gravel that come offshore, but a lot of sand, and a lot of our spawning and natural reproduction for our walleyes happens in these tributaries over here. Now, as we transfer over to the other side of the bay here where we're at today, you'll see how much sharper the break line is. We've got our red 10-foot line, but it's a lot tighter to shore than, per se, the west side of the bay here. We've got a lot more delta and marsh versus over here we're a lot more bluff country, a lot more rocks, steeper breaks, deeper water. And if you look at these edges, they're very sharp, very steep, and we've got a ton of waypoints here just lined up in all these different breaks and transitions. And this is where these fish are going to come and feed after the spawn. Now, we do have some fish that will spawn in these shallower bays over here, but a lot of these fish are going to now be set up on these tighter break lines. We're going to have our gobies and all of our other different bait fish that are going to be running these edges along the side. So LakeMaster really helps me break down quickly where I want to be, depending if I'm looking for warmer, shallower water or if I'm looking for deeper, clearer water on the other side.